And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill out in Pompey for you at the Brew House. You will find Heritage Hill on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, right there at their brew house on Palladino Farms. You'll also find them at their newest location at 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, and that at Heritage Hill North right there at Sweetheart Corners. So happy to have you here this morning. Proud to be with you. Inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we have the opportunity today to bring in Joe Tesori, who is no stranger to the broadcast. Joe with us throughout the years to speak on men's and women's golf as their head coach at LeMoyne College. And of course, some great news and good things happening with LeMoyne Golf here as we will discuss the addition of a golf simulator as well as year one in D1 and more. And in hour number 2, I will be welcoming Alban Brown to the broadcast. Alban Brown, a Syracuse Orange football alum back in the 80s, and his son, Caden, a legacy player who is playing for Fran Brown right now in Fran's first season. So a lot of great stuff coming up here where sports truly meets that thing called life, and it's my honor and my privilege to now bring you Dolphin Dive with Joe Tesori, picture in picture with me. Mr. Tesori, how we doing this morning?
I'm supposed to call you Captain? That's what your shirt says.
Yes. So, yeah, I got this shirt. Listen, I finally had the opportunity to go on a cruise. So, you got to take full appreciation of it. But yeah, we actually have a fantasy football league which is called Captains on Call. So having Wake Up Call and having this one say "Call Me Captain," it all kind of just worked out here. So, yes, I'm happy that you noticed the shirt and appreciated it. What are you wearing today? Do we have LeMoyne? Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
someplace there. There's the dolphin.
I
If I
know.
was taller, you could see it better, but it's
I
on there.
I knew there was a dolphin somewhere on that shirt. So welcome to the show here, Joe Tesori with us, the men's and women's golf head coach at LeMoyne College. You and I spoke about something a while back, and that being the golf simulator. Back in January of this year, I spoke with Bob Beretta, the athletics director at the time, about what was coming in and what you were looking to do. Then you and I had a follow-up conversation about where they were going to put it, the transformation of a racquetball court at LeMoyne College. So now that there has been actual steps being done, let us know what has happened and what it currently looks like in the installation of the golf simulator.
Yes, well, the crew from TrackMan came in last Monday, the 17th, and they started. So they got it done in 2 or 3 days. The TrackMan is up. The whole thing is set up. We haven't hooked. I mean, it works. Everything's okay. It's not ready to be used yet because other parts of the racquetball court need to be finished. We have a putting green that we have going in there. We have, it's going to be an office space also. So we're getting, a couch in there and a desk so I can meet recruits and talk with team meetings in there. And we'll get some branding up on the walls with a couple of appropriate golf sayings and maybe a few Hall of Fame golf things that we've had up there to just let people know that they're in the Dolphin Pod. And we're going to be ready to go when the student athletes report in August. Hopefully we won't need to use it until a little later in the season, but it'll be good to just have our own place. I mean, and I certainly need to thank Peter Weber and the people at First Tee at Syracuse, which is we still use their place for outdoor practice, and our kids love it there. And Peter's and his staff have been great to us. We've used their simulator for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and it's been great. I'm sure that we might have some kids that'll go over there also, on their own, but we couldn't have had successes that we have had without that use. But now we've got our own, and we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, you and I spoke about the importance of it and the need for it on campus at LeMoyne. And like you said, you've been able to utilize one in the community, but to now have this at your disposal on campus for your current student athletes, for recruiting, and for all of that. What does that do for you as far as what you know of other NEC schools and Division One? I know you and I talked off the air that having a simulator on campus is something that other schools do have. So to be on that level playing field, just the importance for you to make sure that LeMoyne has this right there for people to see when they're touring, as well as for student athletes to utilize.
The identity of student athletes, the whole scene of college athletics has changed so much. One of the comments we always get is, what do you have on campus?
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to go someplace else, because someplace might have a bigger and better, but it is certainly something in central New York to have something that's nearby and accessible. I mean, it is going to be utilized for team meetings where we'll have our own space, practices during the winter where the kids, or non-practices when the kids can just go in there and use it. Our team members can go in there, use it, and it's their place. I mean, we went to Hamilton College, we went to Colgate, we went to Cortland, we looked at those places. We knew what some other schools that I talked to had. Now, obviously, there's places like Lehigh University that has a whole building that's theirs.
Yeah.
But we had to get something, and we had to get it. And, Bob Beretta, Dr. Lemura, they were very instrumental in helping us get this done. And Tim Fenton, his work and efforts, they can't go understated. So we're just excited to have our own place that we can call our own, and it's going to be just a huge help for us.
Yeah, and I know that fundraising wise, you did a lot of work here as well. And, you were speaking with people over time and having meetings on campus and whatnot. And I don't want to underplay that. I know you thank a lot of people, Joe, but you did a lot of work to make sure this was possible too. And just what those steps were for you and what you want to say to the community of people that stepped up and that decided to, give back to LeMoyne and to help to make this possible, because I know that this was something that you were very much involved in, obviously, and you had people that were very generous with their time as well as with funds to help to make this happen.
There are several initiatives that we have during the year. I mean, obviously the Gold Wave Golf Tournament that's been at Erie Village the last few years. Money's raised by our team, and each team that goes directly to our needs. Basketball goes to their needs. So we all have an identity there. We all have a presence. I think this is our 8th year, our LeMoyne Friend Raiser. And it's just, I limit it to 24 teams. A lot are alumni, a lot are just friends of mine, family members, past players, their families. And we have a tournament here in August, and it's totally voluntary. The money for the outing goes to the Stan Gorman, and his staff here has been great to us at Pompey. But money goes for the costs. anything we make is done with raffles and donations. The Giving Day in February, I mean, my class of 1971 has been so gracious. Um, and now with the women's team getting their own identity, people are donating to both the men and the women, or here's my donation, split it. I mean, I don't want to name names, but there's been several people that have gone above and beyond every year.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that every $100, $50, $500, $1,000 donation, it all adds up. I mean, we're gonna, we're spending. We have another project going here that starts in July, and I mean that's over. We're spending six figures and above on these things. So it's so nice to know that our family of friends and alumni and just followers of golf love LeMoyne and love what we're trying to do. And it's very humbling, quite honestly.
That coming here from Joe Tesori, LeMoyne men's and women's golf head coach, speaking here on the Golf Simulator Year 1 in D1, as well as thanking the community and the people that have been a part of this journey. Year 1 in D1, let's reflect on that. We hit a year of the move this past May. The move was made May 2023. We are here at the latter part of June now, 2024. What have you taken away from Year 1 in D1 for both of your programs, and just what the experience is like? I mean, at the end of the day, golf is golf when it comes to controlling the controllables for your student athletes, but the competition that you've gone up against, the different things that you've been able to do in the places that you've gone, how would you describe Year 1 in D1 for you and your student athletes?
I think the first thing that our student athletes, both the men and the women, had to learn is that patience is a virtue. We had to be patient. They didn't sign up for this. They didn't sign up to be D1 athletes. But as I always told any recruit, the golf ball doesn't know what division you are. There's some future Hall of Famers that are playing, Division B junior college golf, but they're winning. And so you're here, and we have an opportunity to play against some great teams at some great venues, getting better gifts on the first tee. You are going to be uncomfortable, but part of a job as a coach is getting my team to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And when we went to sites like Boston College and Lehigh and Appalachian State and, our NEC championships in Georgia, knocked heads with the Cornells, the Yales, the Columbias, the Villanovas, Fordhams. I mean, these are all established great academic institutions with great legacy of athletics. And we were there. And I mean, we have a great relationship in New York State with Niagara. I mean, we've done home and homes with them, and their coaches have been great to us, and we're going to continue that. We just got notified that we're playing a dual match against Oak Hill this fall, against Niagara this fall at Oak Hill, which I thank my friends at Oak Hill that are sponsoring us there, so that we could pay our greens fees and play at a top 10 course in the world. So we've learned that with this step up to Division I, it takes a lot of perseverance, a lot of patience, and a little more dedication and work that maybe you've ever had to do before. I think our recruits coming in, which we have a lot on both sides, men and women, they sort of are a little more eye-opening. Their eyes are a little more open because they know what they're signing up for. But our departing seniors on the men's team, they got us through this. They were mature enough to help us through the slaps that we got. But
Yeah.
I mean, we finished in the top 4 or 5 in 3 or 4 tournaments, and we had a great tournament at Villanova. And so I think we're ready. And our women, they took some lumps, but we had some injuries. We had a girl had to leave school of an illness, but they're getting ready to get back, and I can't wait for the season to start.
Yeah, when we look back at the women's schedule for women's golf here this first season in D1, they stayed kind of close, right? Stayed in the Northeast area for the most part. Delaware, a bunch of places in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and the farthest away, and then obviously, like you said, the NEC down in Georgia. But I want to circle this one. They had the opportunity to go to Southern Pines, North Carolina, to Longleaf Golf Club, and you talked about some adversity and going through some things on the women's golf side. They finished first in the PCT Spring Break Challenge down in North Carolina, and I would love to spotlight and highlight your women's golf team when they had a first place finish down in North Carolina, and just what you want to say about that moment for this program.
Well, the first thing I could say is that I got on the first tee and I watched all the girls hit, and it didn't look like they were the same people that I saw previously. They had worked all winter. I mean, we took boxing. We were hitting the weight room 2 days a week. I mean, we were hitting the balls, and we had a mild winter. So some of the girls were able to get out and play, locally, even in, November and actually January and February. So we played in a Division III tournament because the one we had booked fell apart and we had to play.
Yeah.
And there were some good teams there, but our girls had fun again. And we did get better this spring. I mean, you can't sometimes tell by the scores, but I'm watching them, and they gave me and our coaches everything they had to give. I mean, they laid it on the line every single tournament. And this year, with an influx of some new players, I mean, I'm excited about it. But I mean, I remember we're walking through the airport and we're carrying 2 trophies. Mia won the individual and our team. And where'd you guys get that? Oh, we won a tournament in Pinehurst, So it was great. And the girls needed something like that. And it really helped them. And they were, and they are such a close group. And it's a blessing to be able to coach those young ladies.
Before I let you go, I kind of want to hit a point on that and then go to the men's side for a second. When you said they needed that, do you feel that momentum going into this season? Do you feel that moment of walking through the airport, holding those trophies and seeing them smile and seeing them, look at each other and say, like, hey, we can do this? Do you feel like that moment continues to be a momentous moment for the team going into year 2 in D1?
It's like I said earlier, the ball doesn't know where you're playing. Your mind does, but the ball doesn't. And Mia shot 72, 73. Gianna shot 77. I think we had 3 girls, maybe Campbell or Riley broke 80 after a rough day. I mean, everybody on our team shot the best they had ever done in competition. And I kept telling them, remember that. Remember, it can be done. If you can do it once, you can do it again. But again, when you walk on some of these great courses, you're in awe. But, you said, but if you look at our girls' schedule this year, I mean, we've got invited to play at Stetson University in February, I believe. And going to be a whole bunch of schools from the South, and we're going to Youngstown University and Toledo University. So we're branching out, and it's going to be great experiences, and we're certainly looking forward to that.
Yeah, and the opportunity to travel for the team as well. On the men's
Yeah.
on the men's side of things, we saw everything start off at Turning Stone against Boston College, and then the opportunity to go to different parts of New York, Connecticut, as well as New Jersey, and then the Surf Club Invitational, as you mentioned, Appalachian State, down in North Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, Maryland, as well as PA, before going to Pine Mountain down in Georgia. And on the men's golf side of things, year one and D1, we're looking at a lot of these moments here, being in Binghamton, again, the Matthews Auto Intercollegiate at the links at Hiawatha Landing. One of the first day tied for fourth of 14 teams there. Bunch of times a sixth of 13, sixth of 10. Finished in the Metropolitan Intercollegiate against that was hosted by Wagner College, third of 11 there. And then going in Villanova University's event, the Wildcat Spring Invitational in Glenside, Pennsylvania, fourth of 7, third of 7, and then in the NECs, when we look at the 3 days down in Georgia, tied for fifth of 11, fourth of 11, tied there, and then sixth of 11. So on the men's side of things, we have seen a lot of finishes. Like you said, on the women's side, it may not show in the result, but you can see what they're doing and how they're advancing themselves. On the men's side of things, not only are they advancing themselves in things you can see, but they've put themselves in some really strong finishes with a lot of teams out there. And just what you can say about what you saw from them as a whole. I know you got some guys moving on, but some strong finishes here, especially to end the season down in Georgia.
We competed at a very high level this last spring. And it was a great experience for us to finish third at Villanova. I mean, St. Joseph's had their hawk there, and it's flapping wings. and it was, they were trying to get the sweep of Villanova, St. Joe's, and LaSalle. And little old LeMoyne came up, and we came in third. So that was big for us, and to play Villanova is a great school, and they're just so good. And we played them, and we got a chance to play them in basketball, and we're establishing some of these relationships with these Ivy League schools. And this fall, I mean, we got invited to Davidson College down in Charlotte, which is going to be a great tournament for us. We're going back to Appalachian State. We're playing at Colgate, which we always used to. So it's good to keep, we do have enough guys from the Northeast. So it's good that their folks and family and, parents and friends can come and watch. But we're playing a diverse schedule, and we're establishing some good, albeit new, some good rivalries. And we like that. And we like where we are. And we're just going to keep getting better and better. I mean, I know it, and I think the boys know it.
Yeah, coming here from Joe Tesori. Joe, a final note here. You and I always talk about big picture, and we've had the opportunity to talk about a lot of different things, where sports meets life, which is the tagline here for Wake Up Call. There's been different champions that have happened since the last time you and I have spoken. Bryson DeChambeau, as well as what Scotty Scheffler has done. Rory McIlroy is trying to get back on top of things here. We've seen Xander win a major event. So I asked the question of, if you could play with anyone for the opportunity to win a championship right now, I want to ask Joe Tesori, who would be your partner of the leaders in golf at this moment in time? Who would you want to play 18 with in a PGA championship situation? Who would you want to be your partner of the guys that I named, of Rory and Xander and Scotty and Bryson, if you had to choose right now?
Well, if I didn't choose one of them, I can tell you who I'd want to.
Okay,
tell me who you want. And Tom Kim.
Okay.
For ulterior motives. I
Oh,
think I love the way this kid plays golf. I love his emotion. I love the way he meets adversity head on. I love the way he wins. I love the way he loses. I also love his caddy, who happens to be my cousin, Paul Tesori. And what a great relationship they have. I mean, Paul's been with VJ Singh and Webb Simpson and Cameron Young, among others, Jerry Kelly. I mean, he's been with winners. I love the way Tom Kim plays golf. He doesn't spend an eternity over a ball trying to get his all the lines on the ball straight. Uh, he looks at the target, he takes his stance, and he hits it. And let's go chase it again. I just would like, I would like to get inside of this 22-year-old who happens to be very good friends with Scotty Scheffler. I mean, they celebrated their birthday together last week. And the embrace that they had the other day was real. And golf is real. And two of my players are going to play in Elmira College today, or Elmira Country Club for a tournament this week. And they said, Coach, what can you tell us to get us through the rain that might happen? And I said, well, first of all, dolphins like water. All right, so there's the first thing. All right. Second of all, be content. Embrace your friends. And don't always look at a watch to see what time it is, because in your heart, you know what time it is. You're playing the game you love with people that you care for. And then the day is done and you lay your head on that pillow. You just say thanks. And we're at LeMoyne, and I'm thankful for where I am and where we're heading, and I can't wait to get started.
Joe Tesori always has those words of wisdom for us out here. LeMoyne men's and women's golf head coach speaking today in the Golf Simulator, year one and D1 heading into year two, and the more important things in life of being content, celebrating your friends, and taking the time to appreciate the moment that you're in. Joe, as always, I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. And I thank you for being somebody in our community that truly does care. That means a lot, and it goes a lot farther than many things. So I want to thank you for that.
Captain Dan, thanks for having me, and thanks for you and the new ladies basketball coach going to my daughter's restaurant last week. She enjoyed meeting you guys. Thanks for supporting Brian's Landing also. Thanks.
Absolutely. I'll talk with you soon. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Bye.
See you. That coming from Joe Tesori one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we appreciate Joe as always. And, like I said, he comes to us with more things on life, and always hitting those moments. And today, wanting to talk about both of those golf teams, obviously on the heights at LeMoyne, but at the same time, always loving to hear what Joe has to say about life and about the important things. He ends the show by mentioning his daughter Jacqueline. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. That's Joe. And he works hard, he loves the game, and he's passionate. And he's passionate about life. And if you really listen, like just now, he'll give you those nuggets that you should take with you wherever you go. And I value Joe. I really do. And I speak very highly of him because you should. And whether it's golf, talking about something with life, we've had a lot of conversations on here, and I know he's got a busy day, and I'm grateful for the time that he spent today, because I know that he's always doing things in the community, and obviously he's got a busy golf day today, but he takes time, and he always makes time. Whenever I call him or I shoot him a text, he always makes time for me. And like he said, don't spend life looking at your watch. And it's a good thing to hear, right? Appreciate the time you have, appreciate what you're doing, appreciate the people that you're celebrating. appreciate yourself in your own time, and don't waste the time. So, yeah, it goes a long way. And people like Joe are reasons why I enjoy working with LeMoyne. So, shout out to Joe Tesori, and big time shout out to the student athletes of men's and women's golf at LeMoyne. I love that. What are we supposed to do if it rains, Coach? Well, dolphins like water. So, it's a good answer. It's an honest answer. So, and I didn't know what shirt I was going to wear today. And the fact that he started and ended our conversation on calling me captain, I appreciate it. I appreciate his humor. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside inside of the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we spin back around here, we will have the opportunity to have a conversation on some things going on in the sports world, including a new College World Series champion, as well as a champion in the Stanley Cup that we thought was going to be crowned a lot sooner than they were, but it still ended up being the team that was in the lead. So we'll talk about all of that inside of the Heritage Hill Studios right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you for being with us. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life. That's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on a beautiful, wonderful week that we are having here. And, you know, I love this. I really do. I love seeing the sun, seeing people out, you know, people wearing shorts, hanging out, having a good time. Good morning to Mom out here that's watching and listening. And good morning to all of you that are here with us on Facebook.com, on YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. We are worldwide, so you are with us everywhere. And I thank you so much for connecting with the show and supporting the show and all that you're doing to be a part of what we do here at Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. But like I was saying, you know, I'm happy to see people out, you know, having a good time. And, you know, like I said, you know, wearing shorts, wearing the t-shirt, going out, thinking about what they want to do outside, having the kids outside, right? You open your pool, you go on a little trip, you know, it's just great to see people out fishing in the community. So, you know, shout out to quality time and shout out to doing nice things together and just celebrating your family and celebrating being alive in these moments, these precious moments that we all have. So I just want to send my love to everybody this morning, you know, gratefulness to God here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. And there was something that I just shared that somebody put up. Ben Watson put this up, so I can't take credit for this, but I just want to say this prayer for everybody. And I know some of you have a faith. I know some of you don't know what your faith is and this and that, but here on Wake Up Call, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, amen, I celebrate my faith. And it says, Dear God, as I am walking into this next week, I'm going to completely put my trust in you, Lord. I know that you will provide for all my needs, like you always have. Your word says not to worry about anything, but to pray about everything. Lord, thank you for your unconditional love. This week, let me be reminded that you are my provider and my protector. And I am so grateful. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. You know, that prayer, pray about everything, worry about nothing. If I did that, if you did that, how much different would our lives be if we prayed about everything and worried about nothing? Hey, God, this is what's on my mind. This is what's on my heart. I pray that it works out, and I'm not going to worry about it. In Jesus' name, amen. I think we can all do that. I think we should all do that, right? Worrying, agonizing, having anxiety over, stressing, it's never solved a problem. Fearing, never solved a problem. Ever once. Not one time. But praying about stuff, it works. Well, Dan, how do you know that it works? Well, I'm 38 years old. I prayed about a lot of things, and I'm here today. So I can tell you that it works. So we pray that and celebrate with each and every single one of you. And I hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. A lot of good stuff coming up here in the basketball world. The NBA draft is tonight. It's actually going to be 2 nights for the first time ever. And we're going to discuss that in a second, but not before we discuss the fact that Michael Bridges is heading from the Knicks. Well, heading to the Knicks, I should say, from the Brooklyn Nets before the draft here. The Brooklyn Nets, Mikal Bridges, I said Michael, pardon me on that. Mikal Bridges is heading to the New York Knicks there's a lot of stuff going on here, so I want to take a look at the breakdown of all this. So it says the Brooklyn Nets completed a massive overhaul of their roster, trading their best player, Mikal Bridges, to the New York Knicks and landing a deal with the Houston Rockets to return the franchise's first-round picks lost in the James Harden trade. So, as we take a look at the breakdown of all of this here, let me see what we got. So, this is what it looks like. So, General Manager Sean Marks and Knicks President Leon Rose escalated discussions Tuesday afternoon, yesterday, and evening, and New York, this is crazy. 4 unprotected first rounders, 2025, 2027, 2029, and 2031. A protected 2025 first round pick via the Milwaukee Bucks, the Knicks unprotected 2028 pick swap, and a 2025 Brooklyn second round selection. So when we look at the breakdown of this trade itself, and I want to give you everything here. So this is nuts. This we talk about trading picks and whatnot. So this is the breakdown of this. Once again, because I just read it all off, but here we go. The Brooklyn Nets send Mikal Bridges to the Knicks, and in return, the trade package they get back, the Knicks are sending the Nets unprotected first-round picks. Unprotected first-round picks in 2025, 2027, 2029, and 2031, along with a protected 2025 first-round pick from the Bucks, an unprotected 2028 first-round swap, and a 2025 second-round pick. And Bogdanovich is going to also be in the deal. So the Knicks trading 4 unprotected first-rounders, a protected 2025 first round that they got from the Bucks, an unprotected pick swap in 2028, and a 2025 second-round pick, along with one of their players, just for Mikal Bridges. So the Nets are looking to protect themselves for that. They're looking to build toward their future. I mean, listen, they tried to put all this together, right? They brought in Kevin Durant. They brought in Kyrie Irving. They had that whole move to go and get all these big name guys and try to win. It didn't work. And now they're building toward the future and gaining these picks in 2025, 2027, 2028, 2029, and 2031 is, I mean, if they pick well and they have the right scouts looking at the right things at the right time, then this could pay off dividends for the future. The Nets also agreed with a trade with the Houston Rockets that will bring the Nets back their first-round pick in 2026 in exchange for a 2027 first-round swap originally belonging to the Phoenix Suns. And that's okay because they got a 2027 from the Knicks. So with the trade with the Houston Rockets, they will have a first-rounder in 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029 that they're all bringing in. This is huge. Now, the Rockets also acquired the right to swap whichever first-round pick they have in 2025, which would either be their own or Oklahoma City's, with Phoenix's, which had belonged to the Nets in exchange for that. Houston relinquished its right to swap that pick with Brooklyn's in 2025, allowing the Nets to retain control over their picks for the next 2 years. According to Wojnarowski, Woj said the Rockets are attempting to use the Suns' picks to trade for Kevin Durant. So we'll have to see what happens there to get Kevin Durant to be a Houston Rocket. A lot of stuff going on here. So NBA Trade Tracker taking a look at this as we get set for the draft. I mean, this is insane. Just like looking at all of this and breaking it down for the New York Knicks and this massive trade that just happened pick-wise for Mikal Bridges and obviously Bojan going to the Nets. And then the Nets making a deal with the Rockets. Back on June 20th, the Oklahoma City Thunder traded to get guard Alex Caruso and sent guard Josh Giddey to the Chicago Bulls. And it's been quiet. It's been quiet. Now we'll see if more things happen en route to this. I do want to go back to the Brooklyn Nets Houston Rockets trade for their picks here. After the Bridges deal, the Brooklyn Nets return of a 2025, they get the return of a 2025 first round swap and a return of a 2026 first round pick. The Houston Rockets get a 2025 first round swap and then a 2027 first round pick, a 2029 first round pick, and a 2029 first round swap. So all of these picks moving around. Essentially, the Nets are building themselves in the first round toward the future, trying to regain some capital here because obviously they made moves for the name, like the Hardens and the Durants and the Kyrie Irvings and so on and so forth. So now that Brooklyn is essentially getting their future back, the Houston Rockets getting involved with this, and Brooklyn saying, okay, we can give you this, we can give you that because we got back what we needed. So a lot of good stuff happening here pick-wise for the Brooklyn Nets, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with all of these picks between now and 2031. And then Mikal Bridges going to the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks having made the playoffs this season, that's a good thing. So it's exciting to see what's going on here. We know that the NBA draft is going to be happening, and very, very excited to see what that's going to shake out to be here as well. The NBA draft, I just want to let everybody know how you can watch and how you can connect with this. So the NBA draft is going to be on Wednesday, June 26th, tonight, and it's also going to be on Thursday, June 27th. First round tonight, second round tomorrow. Tonight you can watch. It is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be on ESPN and ABC. I'm sure NBA TV will have coverage of it as well. And the Barclays Center in Brooklyn is going to be the location for it, which I've had the opportunity to be there. So that's exciting to see that. So you can watch on ESPN and ABC starting at 8 o'clock tonight, the NBA draft, round 1. And then we will see round 2 will happen on Thursday, June 27th. So that's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern Time that the draft will be. So it's going to happen in the afternoon on day number 2, just so you all know that. So a little bit different here of scheduling. So you'll have the opportunity to see that. And the second round is going to take place at ESPN Seaport District Studios in New York. So round number 1, Barclays Center tonight, June 26th. Round number 2, ESPN Seaport District Studios in New York. And that's going to be Thursday, June 27th. So we shall see what's going to happen here. So day 1 and day 2 for the NBA draft, having a day 1 and a day 2, some changes here happening with the draft. And there's been changes that have happened over time with the NBA draft. And now we're going to see 2 days happening here. So definitely exciting that this is going to happen over a span of a couple days, and we'll have the opportunity to see who's going to get picked and who's going to find their way onto their teams and to have some fun with this. So definitely looking forward to it. And like I said, ESPN and ABC, both owned by Disney, is going to give you the opportunity to see all of this draft and pay attention to it. And NBA TV, like I said, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about with all of this. So definitely excited to see it for sure. And I'll be watching tonight at 8 o'clock. I hope you will be watching as well, as the NBA draft will get things going here. And, I want to look at the most recent kind of mock draft thoughts of who's going where and take a look at this on some of these predictions that we've seen out so far for round 1 and round 2 and all that good stuff. So in round 1, Atlanta's got the first pick, and we're looking at them going overseas here in this one. So I want to look at some of these other ones that we have and where they're going to be. So NBA.com with their predictions here. Yeah, they have Zachary going first overall here, that he would be your first pick with a top spot. And then Alexander Sarr, Reed Shepard, Stefan Castle. Some people have him going fourth. Some have him going number 6 overall. Who do they have? So for here. So yeah. So Zachary out of France going first to the Atlanta Hawks. Alexander Sarr from Australia going to the Wizards. Reed Shepard out of Kentucky. Guard going to the Rockets. Stefan Castle going to the Spurs. Guard out of Connecticut. Donovan Clingan out of Connecticut as well, going to the Detroit Pistons, which have a lot of work to do after firing a coach after one season. Center, Donovan Clingan. Going to Detroit. Buzelis going to Charlotte out of the G League Ignite with the 6th overall pick at forward. Cody Williams going to the Blazers, forward out of Colorado. Dalton for going to the Spurs, have another pick. Position guard forward going to Tennessee here. Let's see what else we got. I want to go down to Toronto if they have Toronto's pick. And they do not. So this one just has the mock draft for the essential, for the lottery picks 1 through 14. So I want to see if they have some here that go beyond that. But yeah, Donovan Clingan looking like he sits here higher up for most people. Let's see here. Zach Edey, they have going to the Raptors, a center, 7'4" out of Purdue. I'm totally fine with that. That guy's, that's a player of the year caliber guy that you have here. And Toronto needs a center. They need some help, and they haven't had a true guy in a while. So Zach Edey falling to the Raptors, I would be absolutely happy to see that happen. But yeah, I'm excited for this. We're going to be doing, obviously, coverage of this on our social media, on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, on X, the former Twitter at Call DT, and on Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'm probably going to put some polls up here to get your thoughts throughout the day today. So make sure that you follow us on X at Call DT. That's CALLDT. And when you follow us there, you can vote in our polls on X, the former Twitter. So a lot of great stuff coming up. Taking a look at the draft. Like I said, it's going to be over 2 days, June 26th, which is tonight, and June 27th, which is tomorrow. We are going to see the NBA draft over a 2-day span. It's going to be at the Barclays tonight, and then it will be continued on from ESPN after that on Thursday, June 27th. And on Friday, June 28th, I will be joined by Dave Paziak, longtime basketball head coach and analyst, who is great to talk to when it comes to basketball at any level, and definitely does his homework all throughout the NBA, coast to coast. And so him and I are going to reflect on the draft this Friday at 10:20 a.m. Eastern time on Wake Up Call to round out our Friday broadcast. Dave Paziak going to be joining me to speak on the draft tonight for round 1, round 2. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing the entire draft together on Friday, right on the heels of everything finishing up. Who got what, and what do we think about the draft itself, and who is building toward the future. And I'm sure we'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets trade that brought a ton of picks into their home for 2025, 26, 27, 28, and 29, as well as 31. So a lot of great stuff coming up with the NBA. And like I said, I did want to give a shout out to the Florida Panthers, who won the NHL Stanley Cup. And, when you're up 3-0, it is atypical that you're going to see somebody come back. But the Edmonton Oilers came all the way back, tied it 3-3, forced a Game 7, and the Florida Panthers won this thing. I want to go back throughout history here. Now, the Stanley Cup started in oh my goodness, let's go all the way back. No, it didn't. It started before that. It started back in the champions that we have here, let's go to here. So the NHL assumed control of the Stanley Cup competition after the 1925-26 season. So in 1927, the NHL had assumed control of the Stanley Cup. But before that, we had champions all the way back to 1893, which was Montreal AAA. So it was Montreal AAA in 1893, 1894, Montreal Victorias in 1895, Montreal Victorias in 1896, and 1897, 1898. So Montreal just all the way through here. Then Winnipeg, then Montreal again, then Ottawa, Silver 7, and then we go all the way to when the NHL assumed control in 1927. It was the Ottawa Senators. And in recent history, the last decade of the Stanley Cup, just to paint this picture for you, my Ducks won in 2007, but in the last decade here, 2014, the Los Angeles Kings, then it was the Chicago Blackhawks, the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2016 and 17, in 2018, the Washington Capitals, 2019, the St. Louis Blues, the Lightning had back-to-back in 2020 and 2021 for Tampa Bay, in 2022, the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, who made it to the postseason as an expansion team when they first came into the NHL. They won a Stanley Cup last year in 2023, and the Florida Panthers in 2024. And when we go back and look throughout history, the Tampa Bay Lightning did it for the great state of Florida, but this is the first ever Stanley Cup championship for the Florida Panthers franchise. The Edmonton Oilers, who they went up against, Edmonton historically here has won numerous Stanley Cups. Edmonton winning in 1984. They won in my birth year of 1985. They also won in 1987 and 88. In between them, the Montreal Canadiens won in 1986. The Oilers won again in 1990. And that's the last time that Edmonton has hoisted the Stanley Cup. So been a long time for Edmonton, but they made it there this season to try and fight for it, and the victory ends up going to the Florida Panthers, their first Stanley Cup ever. So now Florida and Tampa Bay have each won the Stanley Cup down in the great state of Florida. We'll take a step aside for a fast break inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, and we'll be back momentarily as we have the opportunity for the first time ever to welcome Alban Brown to the broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Very excited to have Alban joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a Syracuse Orange football alum and a legacy with his son Caden playing for Fran Brown. So we'll talk with him right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. I am proud to be welcoming for the first time ever to the broadcast Alban Brown joining me here picture in picture. Alban obviously played at Syracuse, is a linebacker alum for the Syracuse Orange, and the father of legacy player Caden Brown, who is playing on the defensive line at Syracuse right now, playing in that edge position on Fran Brown's team. So first time I've had the opportunity to have Alban picture in picture. We've talked off the air, now we're on the air. Mr. Brown, how we doing today?
I'm good. How you doing this morning, Dan?
I'm doing very well, and I'm looking at the hat. I'm all about finding the right stuff, finding the right drip here. I mean, it's a very simple, just kind of the S there, but I like the hat this morning. I like the choice here this morning.
Yeah, classic Syracuse. I love the blue and the orange.
So for you, Alban, I want to go back in time. I want to go back in history here and back to your recruitment. Why Syracuse for you back in the 80s?
Wow, you sound so old.
Hey, I was born in 85, man. Don't feel bad about nothing.
I know. I heard you mention that before. I was going to have a question for you. I was going to ask, like, what do you remember? But you probably don't remember much. You were probably about 5 years old when we was winning championships and stuff at Syracuse. But to go back to your question, so I'm from Queens, New York City area, one of the boroughs in New York City. And, downstate, especially at that time, there really wasn't a lot of talk about Syracuse.
Yeah.
I was being recruited by a couple of schools, and I remember I was being recruited by Penn State. I was at a Penn State game that was at the old Meadowlands in New Jersey. And that was the day that Syracuse was playing Nebraska. And Nebraska was the #1 team in the nation. And they put the score up on the scoreboard. Syracuse was beating Nebraska at halftime, and the whole crowd just got quiet.
Yeah.
And that's when Syracuse really got on my radar. I was like, wow, we have a football powerhouse in New York State that's, beating the #1 team in the nation. And then after that, I kind of did my homework, and, they was reaching out to me, and I took a trip up there, and it was my first time being in Central New York, and I just fell in love with the place.
Like you said, I mean, coming from Queens, and I can hear it in your voice. So I want to go back to, I want to go there and to talk about Queens a little bit. I've spent some time in Queens, spent some time in the Bronx, spent some time in Brooklyn. When we talk about the boroughs, we talk about the state of New York, and we get into the boroughs. I'm going to ask you this. It's going to be controversial, but I'm going to ask it to you. Why is Queens the best?
Well, Queens is the best for a lot of reasons, but I'll give you a couple.
Okay.
What's so special about Queens is you have all different ethnicities in Queens. You can go to a lot of different sections of Queens and find a lot of different people, and we all get along. It's really nice because it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Manhattan, but yet you're right next to Long Island. So if you really want to get that suburban type life, it's right there for you. So, you can work in the city, you can get the big city experience, but yet on the weekends, if you want to go to a nice beach, like Jones Beach, we have like tons of beaches down here. There's a lot, so it's a great mix of city life and suburban life. It's a really nice area. I've been living here all my life, and I love it down here. And just a quick, I was thinking about something that I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge Mets fan. Okay. I'm a Mets fan. I'm a Jets fan. I'm a Knicks fan. And back in the days, since the Mets beat the Yankees yesterday, I'm going to tell you this story.
Can you see that?
So the Yankee Stadium was being revitalized. I think it was 1975.
Yeah.
So at that time, the Giants and the Yankees played at Yankee Stadium. So while they was working on Yankee Stadium, the Giants, the Yankees, the Mets, and the Jets was all playing at the old Shea Stadium in Queens. And I had a family member that used to work there, so I was there every day, and I had the opportunity to watch, great baseball from Mets, Yankees, football, Jets, Giants, like everything was right there in Queens. So that's just a little trivia story for you about Queens. Why, and one of the reasons why we're the best. We have everything. We have all the major airports. JFK is here. Kennedy Airport, LaGuardia. If you want to fly out, you got to come through Queens.
Yeah, and I love that. And I wanted to say, did you see my Pete Alonso that sits here in the studio?
I did. Yeah. I did. I saw that.
So yeah, so Pete. So here's the thing. So I'm a Diamondback, and I've been a Diamondback through and through from when they came in '98. But I have a soft spot for the Mets and Yankees. Yankees because of my dad and my grandfather up in heaven. And then, the Mets, it's funny. So to paint a little picture for you, as you were talking about Jones Beach, which I've been there, you're talking about, you're not far from Long Island and whatnot, and I've been there too. So I was in North Babylon, and I was dating a girl a few years back. And the funny thing is, and I told her this all the time, she wasn't as nice to me as her mom was. And I was like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going for your mom. And so, but her mom, sweetest person in the world. And I want to shout out Janice. So Janice, big Mets fan, and their family, half the family Mets, half the family Yankees. Well, Janice, we would sit down and talk about Jacob deGrom, Pete Alonso. So I blame Janice why I have a soft spot for the Mets, because I really just loved watching deGrom when he was there, and that was when he was having like an extremely amazing season. His ERA was like record-setting at the time. I had gone to Cooperstown with my dad. We were looking at where the numbers were record-wise historically, and if he had stayed healthy, that he could have been at the top of the list. And then, obviously watching Pete Alonso. So I do have a soft spot for the New York Metropolitans, and I got to ask you this here. Mets and Yankees, when you're in the boroughs, like what is Queens? Is Queens split? Is Queens like all Mets all day? Are there like Yankee infiltration in Queens from the Bronx? Like, what's it like out there?
Nah, there's definitely Yankee infiltration everywhere in New York. For every 5 New Yorkers, probably maybe 1 or 2 of them is a Mets fan. So, Yankees dominate. Obviously, they have a great tradition. And, they're just a great, organization. But, Mets fans are special, and I grew up around the Mets. Mets have always been, like I have a sore spot for the Mets as well. And, it's been tough over the years having to be a Mets fan and a Jets fan as well. I mean, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, but, those are my teams.
Alban Brown here with us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Alban, like you said, a soft spot for the Mets. We were talking about history, and I was discussing this when I was speaking last week about Willie Mays. There was a time with the New York Giants not being, the New York Giants, yes, we know them for football, but the New York Giants that became the San Francisco Giants in baseball, the Brooklyn Dodgers that became the Los Angeles Dodgers. If we lived in a world today where we had the New York Mets playing where they play, and we had the Yankees, and we had the New York Giants, not the San Francisco Giants, and we still had the Brooklyn Dodgers. If we had 4 teams in the state of New York, just to live in that fantasy world for a second, what do you think life would be like if the Dodgers and the Giants never left?
It would be crazy, because that's basically 4 out of 5 boroughs right there, because, Yankees is the Bronx. The Giants, they was uptown Manhattan, Polo Grounds. Dodgers was Brooklyn, and Mets would be Queens. So I think it would be even more of us boroughs fighting amongst each other about who has the best baseball team. So that would be really special.
You said you're a Jets fan, and
yeah.
So I got to ask you this: Have you drank the Kool-Aid? Are you living in the world of Aaron Rodgers is going to save us all? He's going to win a Super Bowl this year. We're going to win at least 11 or 12 regular season games. Are you drinking that? Are you with that? I mean, I got a friend, a good broadcaster, went to Marywood University as well as I did, and Brendan Murphy joins me every Monday for DT and Murphy, and he's a huge Jets fan. he's all in on Aaron Rodgers. We went through the schedule, and I impartially said I can see 11 or 12 wins in this regular season if Aaron stays healthy, which is a big old if. So, and hopefully he does. But I got to ask you, as a Jets fan, where do you sit right now? Are you fully into this? We're going to the Super Bowl? Or are you sitting here going, we could win 7, we could win 12? You know, I mean, where are you at right now?
Well, us Jets fans, we've been through so much over the years. I don't think there's any Jets fan that's going to sit here and tell you it's Super Bowl or anything. I do agree with you that if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, which is a big if,
yeah,
I think they will have a very good season. I'm just at the point where I just need to see improvement. I just need to see improvement, and I just don't want the Jets to be the laughing stock of the NFL anymore. When you live down here in Giants, everybody's Giants down here, and Giants, Jets, and a lot of my high school friends and stuff, Giants fans, and so they love to pounce on me about the Jets, and I got to just take it. But let me tell you why I'm a Jets fan, because back in the days before they built the new complex in New Jersey, they used to practice in Hofstra University, which is in Long Island.
Yeah.
And I wasn't far from there. And I used to go out there and get a chance to meet all the Jets and get football signed and all kinds of things like that. So that's why I'm a Jets fan as well. But to answer your question, I think they're going to have a good season. Maybe playoffs. Playoffs, fingers crossed. That's about all I'm hoping for. I'll be happy if they make the playoffs and just give a good shot at the chip.
I have a somebody that I've covered over the last few years that they traded up in the 5th round to go and get my guy, quarterback Jordan Travis out of Florida State. My prediction is that within the next 2 years, he's going to have a shot whenever Aaron hangs it up to be the quarterback of the future. What are your thoughts on Jordan Travis?
He's a great quarterback. I think, he's young, got a lot to learn, but he's very talented, and I would love to see him in the green and white. And the Jets, that's where we struggle. We haven't had that quarterback. We've had great defenses, great secondary, great, record-breaking running backs, tight ends, offensive linemen. The Brickashaw Ferguson comes to mind. We've had pieces. We just haven't had that quarterback. And now you have Aaron Rodgers, but we have an older Aaron Rodgers. So, hopefully they can keep him standing up straight. And if they could do that, he'll be well. But we need a quarterback.
Yeah, you got some of my guys. Jermaine Johnson II, I covered at Florida State. You got my guy Sauce that I covered at Cincinnati. So, I mean, there's guys on that team that I look forward to watching and seeing how they grow toward the future. And I do get it from friends as well that why did the Jets win that last game at the end of the season that guaranteed my Jaguars the first pick, or else the Jets could have had Trevor Lawrence. So do you reflect on that? Do you go back to that and go, I mean, because I had Joe Theismann on the show years ago, and he said, if you lose on purpose and you tank to get a pick, you should be put on an island by yourself for your own stupidity, was what he said here on the show. But other people like tanking. Would you have rather had the Jets lose and get Trevor Lawrence?
Yes. I'm not saying that they should have tried to lose on purpose.
Yeah.
Because that's not why you play, and that creates a bad culture around the organization. You always want to go out there and win, and the players you just can't play the game that way. You have to play. But me as a fan, I could sit in fandom and say, yeah, I wish they lost so that we could have gotten a better quarterback. But as a player or as the organization or coaches, you can't play that way. You can't even think that way. You got to go out there and try to win every game. And there's definitely some benefits of, just winning, even if it's a meaningless game. It creates a culture around your organization, and that can't be overlooked.
Alban Brown here on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Before we get into Syracuse football and some history here, as well as your son being on the team right now, I got to ask you this. Of the boroughs, we talked about Manhattan had a team, Brooklyn had a team, the Bronx obviously has the Yankees, Queens has the Mets. If Staten Island, the only borough we didn't talk about, and I want to do this in the moment, rapid fire. If Staten Island had a Major League Baseball team, what would be their nickname? If we had the Mets, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Yankees, the Staten Island what's? If you had to pick it in the moment, off the cuff, having grown up in the boroughs, what name would you give Staten Island?
Wow, you caught me out there. I'm trying. Staten Island. And listen, there's great people in Staten Island, but Staten Island is just not a borough that I frequent much. Staten Island. Listen, there's a lot of people in Staten Island that wish they were part of Jersey. So that's a true statement too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that question, Dan. You got me, man. Staten Island, I don't know what's great about Staten Island. What do you think about Staten Island? Me, when I think of Staten Island, I think of Wu-Tang Clan because I'm a huge fan of them. This is a rap group in case you don't know. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know. But they I do believe they have a minor league team in Staten Island. Now, I think the Staten Island Yankees or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I will say that I do know Wu-Tang. My hip hop world is very flavored over the years, I would say, of all different types that I listen to. So yeah. I mean, I guess if we're going in that, I mean, Wu-Tang, if we lived in that world, we call them the Staten Island Old Dirties.
See, you can say that. I live down here. I can't say that.
So I could say it right now, but I got to come down to New York City in a little bit. But no, I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe the Staten Island Ghost Faces, because I like Ghostface Killer. I mean, we could do something like that. But, we'd have to come up with something that they like. I mean, Staten Island, are they known for, let me see here. If we look at food that they're known for, I mean, is there something in Staten Island that is like a staple? Let's see, what are they known for? So they're known for Italian American.
There probably is. I just don't know. I mean, I would assume that they probably have some good Italian food out there. I would assume, I don't know.
I mean, I'm Italian, so I'm sure we could come up with something with that, with their history with Italian. But you know what? We're going to not get ourselves in trouble with Staten Island. So.
Yeah, let's not get in trouble. But I will say Queens has great Italian food as well. Yeah. You can find a little bit of everything. That's another reason why Queens is great. We have great food all around.
Yeah. So Staten Island, I feel like you need to have some history with your team, and we need to figure out something with that, get you in Major League Baseball. The only borough not representing, so Staten Island, I would love to see you get a team, all jokes aside. It would be fun to see that history. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like the Dodgers should have never left Brooklyn, and obviously the New York Giants, Willie Mays is with them and went over to the other coast and continued on with San Francisco before coming back to the East Coast and being a New York Met. Here with Alban Brown here on Wake Up Call. Alban, you came to Syracuse. We talked about Nebraska back in 1983 when they beat the number one team in the nation in the Dome. And so you come onto the team, and here in the 80s, you have the opportunity to make some history, and Syracuse did exactly that. Bring us into your time period of being at Syracuse and what it was like to be on the team at the time that you were, because we go back to 59 and we look at an undefeated team. 87, there's an undefeated team with my good friend and your good friend, Rob Drummond. And after 87, we haven't seen undefeated since. We've only seen it with Ernie Davis's time, and we've seen it with, back in 87 with so many tremendously incredible players and a lot of people from the state of New York. So when we look back on your history, Alban, what can you tell us about the time you played at Syracuse? What it felt like then to wear orange, because there was a high point that a lot of guys want to get back to when you were playing for the Syracuse Orange.
Yeah. So I came in as a freshman in 1985. Prior to that, the program was just starting to build to the point where going to a bowl game every year was a given. There was a lot of hardworking, not particularly high ranked guys on the team, but just hardworking guys. And it was like a blue collar type team when I got there.
Yeah.
It was about really going out, working hard. And, we had a chip on our shoulders because, again, it wasn't a bunch of highly recruited guys. But it was Northeastern pride, I would say, because there was a lot of guys from New York, a lot of guys from New Jersey, a lot of guys from Pennsylvania, a lot of guys from Connecticut, Massachusetts area, with a sprinkle of guys from maybe Florida and other places. Yeah. But, the heart and soul was really the Northeast. And I think because of that, we all had a common bond when we would go and play these other teams because they would laugh at us, Syracuse. So, I can remember when we went to the Sugar Bowl, a lot of the things that was being said by Auburn at the time and how they, laughed at Northeast football. And, we really took that as a disrespect.
Yeah.
And, and how we handled that is we just, we worked hard in the weight room. We just practiced hard. We had some great coaches. A lot of coaches on that staff went on to have like long careers in the NFL.
Yeah.
It was everything just came together perfectly. And after that 85 season, like I was at Syracuse for 5 years. I went to 4 bowls in 5 years. So it was a nice little run. Plus that undefeated team in '87, that was unbelievable. With Donnie McPherson, also from Long Island. As our quarterback, he was a great athlete. He got, robbed of the Heisman Trophy. We won't get into that right now. But it was just a bunch of guys that just like worked hard. We all loved each other like brothers. Even to this day, when I go up to Syracuse and I see all my teammates, it's just so much love. And, we have a great alumni base. And, Coach Fran Brown has kind of embraced us and allowed us to feel part of the program again. So I think something special is starting with this program, and you can feel it in the air. Yeah. You can see it even with this whole coaching staff. I think that also translates into why they're doing so well recruiting, because when these kids, they come up here and they meet the coaches and then they see the alumni. And, we get an opportunity sometimes to speak with them and just tell them about, how it was and how it could be and how they could be a part of, getting Syracuse back to those days. And, and when New York is rocking, there's no other place like it. So, if we can, if they can duplicate that, I think us Syracuse fans are in for something really special.
Yeah, and you brought up so many points there, Alban, about the history and about, where Syracuse can go right now, the connection to the alumni, and I want to get into all of it. You're a part of that 1987 undefeated team. And the last time Syracuse went undefeated, 11-0 in one season, because back in the day you could tie in a bowl game, which makes no sense, and you were leading Auburn all the way through from the SEC, and they kick a field goal at the end of the game to save face, and the game ends up being tied. So when we see something like that, and we look at that 11-0 in one season, and it tethers you to 1959 with Ernie Davis and that national championship team that went undefeated, to be a part of that, Rob and I talk about this all the time. We have fought for over a decade, Rob and I, on the same team of Syracuse needs to respect their alumni, build a bridge, talk with them. And it baffled me that we went from, after Coach P, who was the coach I grew up on, I'm a Coach P kid. After Coach P, here we are with, because I was born when Coach Mack was finishing up and then going to Coach P. So you look at what they did after. You look at Greg Robinson, may he rest in peace, not connecting with the alumni. Doug Marrone makes no sense because he was an alum, not connecting with the alumni. Scott Schaefer, I know his staff, I know him, People said that there was certain strides trying to be taken because he is a blue collar guy and he acted like he came from Syracuse. So there were moments there, but let's be real, Syracuse didn't give him any time to grow anything. Let him go in 3 years. And then you bring in Dino Babers for 8 seasons, and I have a great relationship with Dino, but Rob and I kept banging on that door of saying, let him in. Why wouldn't you let these guys in? Fran comes in and he starts showing love, and I look at Rob and I said to myself, you and I have been literally pushing like crazy. I do everything in my power to get alumni like yourself on the show. And I tell people all the time, when I meet a Syracuse Orange football alum, I don't care if you played 1 snap. I don't care if you played 1,000 snaps. I don't care if you were the All-American or if you're the guy that played in 3 games. Every member of Syracuse football history is welcome to come here on the show and talk about, their experience and all of that. And so when I look back on the history here, it has been incredibly important to me to get as many alumni on as I possibly can and to just keep getting louder and louder and louder to tell the Hill that you should be there. It blows my mind, Alban, because you would think the people that came through the walls and those hallways and built it are the ones that you would want to talk about it. Fran gets it, but for over a decade, it wasn't gotten. So what does it mean to you as an alum that the conversation of let us in, let us meet these kids, let us talk to these kids, let us, we're not asking a coach. We're not asking to, go against you and do this, that, and the other. We just want to stand on the sideline at practice and we want to shake hands. And if you want us to tell a story, we'll tell a story. What does it mean to you that after all of these years and all of this push to try and build the bridge that never should have been broken, that now there's a bridge back to the alumni?
Well, first, let me say, Doug Marrone tried. I remember when Doug got the job, he reached out to some of the alumni. I think he had a couple of meetings. For whatever reason, he kind of got away from it. But at least he tried. A lot of the other coaches, I don't know why they took the road that they took.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a directive by them or if it came from somewhere else. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Dino, I just felt he was just, to me, a West Coast guy. Yeah. I respected Dino a lot. Dino was recruiting my son. When I actually got a chance to meet him and sit down and talk to him, I liked him.
Yeah, me too.
He was a very good person. And I think he might have had a little bit of a disconnect with the younger players. That might have been his issue. I don't know. That's just me looking from the outside in. But like you said, I don't understand why you wouldn't. I think all great programs respect their history and they embrace it and they try to display it. Why Syracuse wouldn't do that at that particular time, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that Fran came from a program where they do that.
Yeah. And
so he's brought that here because he understands that that's all a part of winning. You don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. It's kind of that mentality. So, and when you can see a long period of success,
yeah.
It shows that it can be done. And in some ways it might even be a blueprint on, how to repeat that. College football is definitely a lot different from when we played, but then as much as there's things that are different, there are things that are similar. So I think there's something to be learned from it. So, just having alumni around, like you said, I don't think anybody in the alumni wants to tell Fran how to coach or what to do. Yeah. We just want to be a part of the program. We want to support the program as best as we can. And we're proud of the university and everything that we've done. And we just want to, it's just a great feeling when you can turn on the TV on Saturday or if you can go to a game and you can be proud of the product that's on the field.
Yeah.
There was many days that, I would watch a Syracuse game and I couldn't even watch the whole game because it was just bad football, for whatever reason. It's just tough, I love the orange. I'll be a fan until I die, but you want to see a product that you can be proud of. Win, lose, or draw, you just want to see a good product on the field. And I feel that's the direction we're at now.
And that, like you said, I mean, in going through the history and that disconnect, but now having it back, I mean, you love it, right? You love Syracuse and people that came through this, like I said, no matter what the scores were, the record was, how much time they played. I mean, I look back at the time that Greg Robinson was here, and I just randomly looked at one of his rosters and didn't even realize, I'm like, I've talked to almost every guy that's on that roster, and they get forgotten because of the record. But there's tremendous human beings that played on those teams. And you said that, there's been times where you just can't sit and watch it, but you're hopeful. What makes you believe in Fran? What is it about Fran Brown that speaks to you? Because a lot of coaches come in, they say what they're going to do. Everybody say, like I tell people this all the time. No one ever walks up to you and goes, "Hey, I'm a bad person," just so you know. Everybody says, "I'm great. I'm going to do all these things. This is my plan." But with everyone talking it, not everybody walks it. What has shown you that Fran, in your opinion, is saying things and then you're actually seeing him walk it out?
Well, I know a lot of people in Central New York maybe didn't know Fran Brown until he got hired. But I didn't personally know him, but I knew of him way before he was hired. So I coach at Erasmus Hall in Brooklyn, which is I would say a powerhouse down in New York, downstate in New York City. And when he was at Temple, when he was at Rutgers, we had a good relationship with Fran Brown. He recruited for those schools. And my whole coaching staff at our high school was always telling me, Fran Brown is a star, just in the making. So he always knew he was going to be a head coach. And he's been taking notes, he's been studying, he's been figuring it out. And people always knew that one day he's going to be a head coach. We didn't know where, we didn't know when, but we knew it was going to happen. So when he came to my alma mater, Syracuse, it was like a blessing. Now, what is he doing? Like, he's just doing all the right things. Like, let's put the recruiting to the side. Yeah. Just the relationships that he's creating with these young men. It reminds me of back when I was there, when Coach Mack was there, and the type of conversations that we would have. Sometimes we would have conversations that have nothing to do with football, just about being a man, just about life, just connecting with these individuals. Because when you can do that with young men, they're going to follow you and they're going to believe and they'll run through a wall for you. So it's not always about football. It's about caring about someone's family, things that you might be going through and trying to prepare them for life. Like right now, Coach Fran, he's trying to make sure that every kid will get their degree in 2.5 years. That's tremendous because, worst case scenario, if you get hurt or you don't have a great college football career, you're going to leave Syracuse with a degree. And that's going to help you through life and it's going to allow you to be a good alumni so that you can come back and try to help out the university the best you can, whether it be monetarily or through voluntary work or what have you. So he has a plan in place and we're slowly starting to see it. And I could tell you, behind the scenes, as a parent of a player who's on the team, I know my son has a great relationship with him. And not just him, he did a great job picking the whole staff. I can speak primarily on the defensive side of the ball because those are most of the coaches that I've been conversating with. Yeah. My son loves all these guys and they're great. They're great mentors. They're always there for him. And you could tell, and it's genuine. when you go to a lot of schools and you meet a lot of these guys, you can tell certain people, they're just doing their job. I really feel that the coaching staff and Coach Fran, it's more than just a job to them. And he's really he's taken advantage of every opportunity that he has in front of him. So I just can't wait for the season to get started. I'm so excited.
Alban Brown here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, speaking on Fran Brown and this new era for Syracuse football. You're a father of a legacy player in Caden Brown, and Caden being on the defensive side of the ball. You said Dino recruited him. He ends up coming and playing for Fran Brown. And when we look at this has been atypical. We talk about the disconnect between the alumni and the Syracuse football program over the years, and that disconnect showed itself in the children of Syracuse football alumni not coming to Syracuse, not getting looked at, and not because, fathers didn't reach out and say, like, hey, my son's in the portal, just take a look at his film. If he's not good enough, just tell me, but they never got a phone call back. Marvin Harrison Jr., we know he went to Ohio State. Kevin Johnson Jr., he came to Syracuse for a hot minute, but then ended up leaving, and there's names on this list as we go down the line that didn't end up coming to Syracuse. This legacy conversation, Alban, this has been a spotlight for your family. It's been a feel-good story for Syracuse Orange fans, for the community, that all of these players that didn't end up coming to Syracuse with the disconnect, your son is there. And credit to Dino, credit to Fran, and both of these staffs, but just what that means to you as a family, and then in the big picture, to know that people now that maybe didn't know your name, they know your name. If they didn't know Caden's name, they know Caden's name, because there's been this focus on, hey, there's a legacy here, and maybe this is the start of not just the Brown family, but of other families having legacy. So you're kind of this, jump into this movement, so to speak. So on your family scale and on the bigger picture as well, there's a lot of hype, a lot of excitement about the talk of legacy at Syracuse. What does that mean to you and Caden and your whole family, that this isn't just about the Browns, it's about, the hope for the future and the legacies that could come to Syracuse?
Well, I'm not sure what it means to Caden, because, he jokes with me sometimes. Obviously he wasn't around when I was playing, so he'll say, I don't know how good you was, Dad, and stuff like that. But so I don't think he chose Syracuse because I went there. He chose Syracuse because he liked Fran Brown, and Fran Brown gave him that opportunity. So, and it was important for me to make sure that it was his decision. Yeah. Although I'm his father, I'm going to guide him, but it had to be his decision. So he decided to go to Syracuse University on his own merits, and he's going to make a name for himself on his own. But for me, this is just fantastic, because I was always going to bleed orange regardless of where he went, but this just makes it that much more easier and more interesting for me when my son is playing, for my alma mater. So instead of me having to watch two college teams now, I could just go all in on one. And it feels great for me and my family. I plan on being up there for pretty much every game. I'm going to try to make as many away games as I can. I'm definitely going to Vegas. That's going to be a great game. I look forward to that. But no, it means everything to me. And I hope everything works out for him so that more alumni children, if they're good enough, because Coach Fran said, I'll look at the video, but they got to be good enough. And if they're good enough, I hope they do choose Syracuse, because it's a fine university, and I think they're going to prove that the football program is going to be up there with some of the elite programs if you give him a chance to do it, if he has the right resources, which I think the university is giving to him.
Yeah, and for you, we talked off the air about the fact that you've come up to Syracuse so much and you've put yourself, around this program, and obviously Fran's had an open door to alumni, which when he had his introductory press conference, there was no question more important to me than to ask that question to him, which I had the opportunity and the blessing of God to be there to be able to do so, is to look right at Fran and say, there's alumni in the room, there's alumni watching. What do you want to say to them? And that response that he said, I want you to come around, I want your presence. I want you to be here. He's like, yeah, I want you to donate. I want you to do that, but I want your presence. Right. I want you to come to practice. And if you come to practice, you can come to my office and talk to me. If you don't come around and you're not at practice, then, don't be saying anything. But he said, I want you to be here. And then when I've gone to practices, alumni are there. You've made it a point to be there. Obviously, you care about your son and his future. But what's it been like for you to experience practice, to number one, have the open door policy with Fran. Number two, to actually get to watch the team. And number three, to watch your son mature, because you're seeing this through three scopes. You're seeing it through having an open door as an alum. You're seeing it as the opportunity to watch a team that you love practice and get ready for the season. And you're seeing your son. So what has all of that meant to you for someone who has made it a point to be physically on site at Syracuse?
Well, but it's been, 34 years since I last played at Syracuse, and this is the first time that I'm going to watch a practice.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes right there.
Yeah.
So, but to come down to the practice and, I don't try to get too involved. I let my son do whatever. A lot of times when I'm there, I'm just speaking with other alumni, even alumni that I've never met from different eras, from different decades. Matter of fact, his football camp that he had I think the last couple of weeks, I know there was a couple of alumni that had their kids up there. So it was great to see that. It's a really good feeling is the only words that come to mind of how I could describe just being up there and being able to watch practice and speak with the coaches, and even just to know the coaches, as much to ask them, how are their families doing? How are you doing? How are you liking Syracuse? Yeah. We want to make sure that we're able to, keep these good coaches. So we want to just support them. And I think that's what it is. It's like having a family on the sideline supporting. We're supporting Fran, we're supporting the coaching staff. A lot of the kids on the team now, they even know who I am. They like, you're Caden's dad. You used to play here. I talk to different guys. I shake their hand after practice. It's a great atmosphere, and I think it's very conducive to winning as well. So we will see. All this will mean nothing if we can't win on the field. Yeah. But I think this is the formula to do it the right way.
And why? To you, when you say you feel like it's there, what are you seeing that makes you believe that this can translate? Because the questions become, Syracuse hasn't won in so long, so what's going to change? There's people that'll say Fran Brown's never been a coordinator. He's never been a head coach. So there's that conversation that people have. There's the conversation of, okay, Florida State's gotten better. Mike Norvell's doing what he does. Clemson's not going to stay down for too long. So, and then there's other teams coming in that are trying to shake things up. SMU has had a bunch of success, which people don't pay attention to now that they're an ACC school. So when you hear all this outside noise, but you tell me, I think the formula's good here with Fran. What is in this formula that makes you believe that this team can win?
Sum it up in one word: belief. Belief. The players and the kids believe in Coach Fran and what he's doing, because kids nowadays, we didn't have the internet growing up when I was coming up, but they know good football when they see it. They know good coaching when they see it. They want to be coached hard. Yeah. They want to be shown the right way to do things. And all of that is being done. So when everything is being done properly and the correct way, everybody believes in the head man. And because you have to be together, because football is a unique sport where you got 11 guys on the field all working towards one goal. And when you have all 11 guys believing that they can do something collectively, that's when you're going to win. That's when you're going to win games. So if I had to put in one word, it's just belief. They believe in everything that's going on around, even everything that they're doing in the weight room has been tremendously improved. They got a brand new facility there, so the university is doing their part. You know, these guys are doing community service that I don't recall them ever doing, at least not on the scale that they're doing it now. So it's like it's on and off the field. They're just being shown the right way to do it. And if you work hard and you do anything, and this doesn't just apply to football, it's anything in life. If you work hard at anything in life and you do it the right way, you're going to see success. And it would have been easy for me to just give you the analogy that coach likes to use, the dart. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save that for them on the team. Yeah. But I'll describe it just as belief. They believe in the system. They believe in the coaches, and they definitely have the talent. So there's no reason why it can't be done.
And before we jump into rapid fire here, where you and I get to have some fun and put each other on the hot seat here to round things out, you talked about the defensive staff because Caden's on the defensive side of the ball, so getting to know them. I got to know and spend some time with somebody who I just think is a real guy. And I met him I got to spend time with him down in Boca at the bowl game. I was down in Boca Raton doing shows with alumni at O'Brien's Irish Pub right down the road from FAU, where Syracuse had the game against South Florida. And being there with Elijah Robinson, the defensive coordinator, I honestly, I felt like I was in the backyard of some family party, and he was like an uncle at the party, and we were just talking. And I love that. I love that feel. I love that time together. I like the way that the staff that I've met has been with me. What can you say about Elijah Robinson? Because I'm a fan of the defensive coordinator. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, Coach E is great. Coach E is no nonsense. He takes his job seriously, as he should. And I think he demands the respect from all the just his presence when he walks in the room. Although he's friendly, he smiles, he shakes your hand and everything, he comes off to me as a no-nonsense guy. And he's tough on my son, and I love it. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, Coach, give it to him. Be tough on him. Because actually, Caden is mostly playing linebacker now. Yeah. So he's making a transition. He's playing a new position. He might play a little defensive end. So, he has a bit of a learning curve ahead of him. And, last time I saw Coach E, I always ask him, how's Caden doing? And, he tells me he's doing good, but, he needs some work, but he's going to get there. But Coach E is great. I believe Coach Fran said a long time ago, he said, get to know him well, because he may not be here long, because he's going to be a head coach somewhere sometime soon too. So I hope it's not too soon. Yeah. I hope he gets an opportunity to show the world what he can do at Syracuse. And, I'm hoping that he really likes it up there, because he's a tremendous asset to the program.
Yeah. No, and I'm happy that he's there, and I appreciate it. And I hope he gets that opportunity, but like you said, not before he spends some time in orange and blue and has some success here. We're going to play rapid fire, but right before we get into that, I got to say this to you. I got sent a picture from Rob Drummond. Rob and I, he's one of my best friends, and it happened very easily. We did an interview like 11 years ago, and I walked away going, I like that guy. I feel like we have a lot in common. And then I talked to him the next day, and he goes, I thought that too. He's like, I like that guy. And we literally became friends and just saying to each other, I like talking to you. I like talking to you too. Well, we got the same things that we care about. Yeah, we do. And that was the beginning of the friendship, somebody I consider a brother. Rob loves to go to Mother's Cupboard, and he's super supportive. I don't ask him to do any of this. And the Cuse McMother, my sandwich that I made, which is great for game day, great for any day, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. And I always tell people you can cut it up and have it with syrup, pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. He sends me a picture and he's like, I'm here at Mother's with Alban Brown, and there's a picture of his Cuse McMother and your Cuse McMother. And I was like, what does Alban think? He's like, he likes it. So I got to ask you, Alban, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for supporting Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, a partner of the show and a staple of Syracuse. And thank you for getting my Cuse McMother sandwich. To the people that haven't gotten it yet, and many of you have, so thank you so much, what would you say why somebody should go and get that sandwich, since you and Rob were super supportive and apparently very much like those sandwiches, which I appreciate. So what do you want to tell people about the Cuse McMother?
If you visit Syracuse and you just want a good home cooking type, Southern type breakfast, that's the sandwich you need to get. Because a lot of times when I go up there, I stay at Rob's house, and we woke up in the morning and I said, Rob, let's get something to eat. Let's go, get some breakfast, because he was going to make me something. I said, nah, let's go get some. So he said, I got the perfect place. So we went over there, and when you go in, it's an old throwback type breakfast spot. And then you see the picture of your sandwich up on the wall. And I said, yo, I got to try that. That looks crazy. And it was delicious. Unfortunately, I can't eat it too much because my cholesterol will be through the roof. But it once in a while, you got to treat yourself. And it was a fantastic sandwich. And I think that's a great thing that they're doing with you to name the sandwich like that. And it was anybody goes to Syracuse, you got to try it.
Oh, thank you, Alban. I appreciate that. I remember just being like, Rob's like, he just took a picture of where y'all were, and I was like, did Alban like it? He's like, yeah, man, he loved it. And I said, next time you got to tell me, you got to let me know where you're at so I can come join y'all, because it would be great, obviously, to spend some time with you in person and to get into rapid fire, which we're going to do here today. You get to put me on the hot seat. I get to put you on the hot seat. We can talk about anything, Syracuse football, food, whatever, anything in the world. You get the first question, Alban. So what do you got for me?
All right. First question would be kind of like what I asked you at the beginning. I know as students, what they thought of the late 80s, early 90s teams, but
yeah,
my question to you would be the Syracuse and the surrounding areas, like what would be their greatest memory of Syracuse football in that era?
I would say, I talked to people about the 80s. Nebraska in 83 comes up a lot. My one that I think about is when Coach Mack went for 2 in your undefeated season against West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Like, we're not trying to tie this game. We're going to win this game. A coach that has the guts to do that, and student athletes who have the faith and you talk about belief with the team this season, a team that has courage, faith, and belief in each other to get it done. I think that's a huge feather in the cap. I think Nebraska, I would say, going up against Auburn, and the fact that, somehow they deserved a trophy, which I don't understand that. But, so I think that there's like the thought of, that game against Auburn. I think there's the 83 and the Nebraska game. I think it's the, going after it against West Virginia to win the game. And, honestly, I just think it's the blue collar. It's the grit. It's, Syracuse in 87. Every time people are like, Dan, why are you so big on alumni? I have many reasons, but I go, look at that. Well, why do you care about recruiting the state of New York? I said, look at that team. Look at the state of New York represented. Look at the no stars, 1 stars, 2 stars, and 3 stars that went on that team and literally could play anybody, wanted to play anybody. And, I think what other people remember, speaking off of that, is Syracuse wasn't afraid to play the best teams in the country. They weren't afraid to play the SEC. And to everybody that thought Northeast football wasn't anything big, I'll tell you this right now, I think the teams that played Syracuse were like, yeah, don't schedule them next year. So I think if we can get back to being a Syracuse team that will play the SEC, play the Big Ten, play whoever, and say, put them on the field with us, because we don't have to play them. They have to play us. I think if you bring back that mentality from those teams in the 80s, that would be something that I would love to see as someone who is born and raised in Syracuse, New York.
And just so you know, we was 3-0 against that SEC back then. We beat Georgia in the Peach Bowl. Well, we didn't lose to Auburn.
Yeah.
And then there was the Hall of Fame Bowl where we played LSU. We beat them as well.
Yeah. So 3-0 against the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
My question back to you, Alban. If you had to describe Syracuse, New York to someone who's never been here, what would you say?
I would say it's a bigger city than you think it is. When I bring people up, like I'll tell you a quick story. So, like Coach Fran, they had their football camp. You know, me being a high school coach, I had a couple of kids, not necessarily that went to the school that I coach at, but from the surrounding area. Yeah. You know, I was really pushing them to go to the camp. So when they came up to the camp, you know, I showed them around Syracuse. You know, I showed them downtown, you know, the old war memorial, you know, different things. And, you know, people was just really surprised of, you know, how much of a city it actually is. You know, it's a very unique city. It's a very diverse city. And it's a lot nicer than what people think. Unfortunately, down here, people just have the perception that, oh my God, Syracuse is so cold and it's so far, but yet they'll travel to Baltimore, which is about almost the same amount of time driving. You know, from what I understand, a lot of people in Syracuse didn't even really have to get out their shovels this winter. The winters aren't quite as bad as they used to be anymore. And, you know, people will make jokes, oh, they might as well be in Canada and stuff. You know, I hear those kind of things all the time, which really pisses me off because, you know, Syracuse doesn't get all the accolades it deserves for being a smaller city in New York State.
Yeah, and I hear from, you know, I hear from people that say, you know, you're not a New Yorker because you're not from New York City. Right. I said, well, the last time that I checked, 3/4 of the state of New York is not Long Island and not the New York City area. So right. I am a New Yorker, and I'm very proud to be from Syracuse, New York. What's your next question for me?
My next question for you would be, so about your podcast, when did you start it and what made you want to do a podcast?
So I started broadcasting in 2003, and I'm going to have my 21-year anniversary in November, and my favorite number is 21. So we're doing a big celebration for that. I started my own company at 26, and I started it at 26 because I was going to start a company. I was thinking about doing it at 30, but I was tired of being lied to. I was tired of working for people that didn't have morals and values. I was tired of being told if I did what I was supposed to do, that I would get what was promised to me. I'm a man of my word. I believe in God, and a lot of the media doesn't talk about that, especially here. So, you know, to me, it's like, if I'm going to talk about God, if I'm going to be honest, God forbid in the media, but I'm going to be honest, I'm going to talk about God, I'm going to build relationships, and I'm going to really like show coaches and players and administration what it's like to be with a genuine person who is never going to change your words around and always going to let you tell your story instead of me telling it for you. I just knew I had to go off on my own. And I went to the internet when people said it was never going to work. Nobody cared. Nobody was going to be on it. People didn't know what a podcast was. And it's funny because I don't really say podcast, because to me, when I was on the radio, when I'm doing, you know, video, the podcast, whatever, like, to me, I'm a broadcaster. I'm a journalist, and however I get you that information, I've never changed. If you go back and listen to my show and you listen to my show now, I'm still me. And I think, you know, I've never sold out for money. I've never sold out for accolades. I've never sold out for an award. I don't think the media is ever going to give me an award because I don't think they respect me, and that's totally fine. And, you know, to me, I can lay my head on a pillow at night and know that I do right by people. And at the end of my life, I can tell God that I never stole anything. I didn't lie about anything. And, you know, I'm proud of the work that I've done. I think that it's really hard for me in life to see my work plagiarized in so many places, and I have to stand next to and sit next to people in my hometown that steal my work, and I have to sit with them knowing that that happened and knowing that they're never going to apologize, they're never going to look at me. So, I mean, why did I start it? I started it to do the right things, and I'm challenged every single day when I'm dealing with plagiarism, disrespect, hate, negativity. I'm never going to be in their clubhouse. I'm never invited into the treehouse. But to have friends like Rob and to be able to talk like people like yourself, if I'm going to have these relationships and the media is going to hate me, I'm totally fine with that, because I'd rather have you guys than have them. But it is hard to walk into a room knowing that I believe in God, I work hard, I'm honest, and I tell the truth. And somehow that's gotten me in a lot of trouble. But it's also gotten me some of my closest friends. And it's also made me very proud of myself and the man that I've become. So I guess that's just something that comes with the territory, is what I would say. My question back to you, Alban, is if you could do one of these three jobs and you have to pick one, and it's what's going to be your profession for the rest of your life, would you be a professional boxer? Because, yes, I did my research, and I know that you got around a little bit. So would you be a professional boxer? Would you be a professional comedian? Or would you be a professional chef? If you had to choose, which one of those would you do and why?
At this stage of my life, I would say I would like to be a professional chef. And the reason why I'll say that is because food brings me joy. I'm a fatty now. I love to eat. I love to try different foods, and I'm not that great of a cook.
Okay.
So, which is why I try to keep my son up in Syracuse as long as possible so he can gain some weight, because he doesn't really like my cooking that much. But I think that would be fun, because who doesn't like a good chef? You know, we all have to eat, and you know, boxing has came along. I don't know about the state of boxing right now, so I'm not sure. You know, my dad loved boxing so much, and like I'm a retired New York City police officer, and I became a police officer because of my dad. My dad was a police officer. I retired as a detective.
Yeah.
And my father used to run some of the local PALs in the area, and you know, he was always a person that gave back to the community, and you know, we would have, you know, open gym, play basketball, but boxing was really his thing. And you know, we used to teach young kids to box. You know, so I boxed at an early age. I had the opportunity to meet my hero outside of my father was Muhammad Ali, and I had met him a couple of times. There was a time where he was coming out with a clothing line, and he had picked a couple of boxers from the New York City area, and we traveled around with him for the day and went on Good Morning America and things like that. So I don't want to get off too much of a tangent, but yeah, boxing is always special to me. I just not much of a fan of it as I used to be. I just kind of like grew away from it. Yeah. All right, so I got one last question for you.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it simple. So who is your number one favorite Syracuse football player? Football player, basketball player, and lacrosse player. And it can be men's or women's when we're talking about basketball and lacrosse.
Oh, man. Donovan McNabb, without question. I think if my mom said I said anybody else, she'd say I was lying. So, and I showed this on Monday, but I have this right off camera. Before he was like the McNabb that everybody came to know, like the star, he was trying to make it and trying to get himself to be the starter. So that's his autograph on the back of a Tully's coaster. And he was working at Tully's as a host. People did not know who he was that even were working with him, apparently. And my mom and I were there, and my mom was like, I think that's Donovan. And I looked at my mom, I'm like, I think that's Donovan McNabb. She goes, I think you're right. My dad's like, y'all are both nuts. There's no way that Donovan McNabb is working here. And it was Erie Boulevard. And my mom and I kept saying it, and my dad was just like, over it, whatever. So we go to leave. He walks out. He goes, you guys are crazy. I'm going to the car. So my mom and I stop, and my mom goes over to Donovan at the host table, or at the host desk, and she says, are you Donovan McNabb? And he looks at her, and he nods, and he goes like this. And my mom was like, you know, can my son have your autograph? Like, can we get your autograph? He grabs a Tully's coaster. He signs this, and I'll never forget what he said to me and my mom, because my mom's 4'11", I'm 5'8". So he bends down, and I was shorter at the time. Because I forget how old I was, but he bends down to us and whispers in our ears simultaneously. He said, hey, listen, I know I'm not anybody right now, but just watch. I might be somebody someday. I never forgot he said that. He handed me this, and he's the number 2 pick, and he brings the Philadelphia Eagles to one of their greatest eras of their history, consistently. So I'm going to say McNabb for football. And for lacrosse, this is difficult. So, I mean, I think for me, I'm going to say the Gate brothers, and I'm going to say the Gate brothers because I've had an opportunity to obviously see them, and then I've had an opportunity to interview Gary over time. So I'm going to say the Gate brothers just because I have had some connection to the family, and I've been able to sit in Gary's office and have some cool conversations. By the way, that man's got more rings than you. I think he's got like 15 championship rings of like something somewhere at some time. One of them is massive. So I said to Gary, I go, can I just like have one? Because to be completely honest, would you know if it was gone? But you know, so I'm gonna say the Gate brothers. And then for basketball, again, I've said this so many times that people would say I'm a liar if I don't say it. And he's a friend of mine now, which is insane. I'm friends with his kids, and if you told 9-year-old me that was watching Cuses in the House, oh my God. If you told 9-year-old me that this guy was going to be my friend, that we were going to golf together, that we could text, that we talk every year with each other, and that like I would make him laugh and have these memories with him, I think 9-year-old me would probably pass out. But John Wallace. And a very close second is my guy Otis Hill. So both on the same team. I will never forget at Tully's in Cicero area. I'll never forget at that Tully's when you walk in the door. I don't know if it's still there, but they had a framed picture of the 1996 Final Four team. And it had John on the left with his arm around Otis, and they're both kind of like looking down. That Final Four, that like last moment, that championship, like my heart broke in that year. And I still think it's the greatest Syracuse basketball team that didn't win a championship. And I feel like they should have. I got to pick those two guys. But yeah, I mean, it's a connection. It's something that I never thought. I've gotten to interview Donovan McNabb since then, but I mean, John Wallace and Big O, like they're friends. And I mean, every time Otis, you got to go back and listen and watch my shows with Otis. We laugh like crazy. Like the whole show, we're just like going back and forth on each other, and it's just fun. So yeah, I think the hardest answer was probably lacrosse. The easiest one is because it hasn't changed since I was a little kid. So I would say that. But I want to look into the camera and say, Rob, you're still my brother, so forgive me for picking Donovan. My question back to you. So you said, obviously, you know, you've been a police officer, you've been in law enforcement. So I am no stranger to the fact that in my world, my friends are all different colors, shapes, sizes, and backgrounds and whatever, and that's me. I know that I see people for their soul. I know not everybody's like that. So having a profession of being, this is a two-part question, being in law enforcement, what do you think was the greatest part, and what was the most difficult part is number one. And number two, to be in the skin you're in and be in law enforcement, some people would say that it doesn't fit. How could you be in law enforcement when you know things that have happened in history? So how did you tackle being African American and being in law enforcement? Because that's something that's been talked about on TV shows that I watch, on sitcoms that I watched. Because in the show New Girl, Winston is an African American man, and he goes and wants to be a cop, and he's dating a girl who doesn't understand why he would do that. So my question to you, what's the greatest part and the most challenging part of being in law enforcement? And then secondly, to be in the skin you're in, how did you see that you can merge those together when some people do not merge those together in our society?
I'm going to try to give you a quick answer, but we're going to have to continue this conversation when I come up and get a mother's sandwich.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to be discussed about. Those are great questions, by the way. But being a police officer and being Afro-American, it was a little bit easier for me because I worked in the area that I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I knew everybody. I went to high school in the area. And so being a police officer to me was helping people.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. And I think there are some police officers that think the job is going out and arresting people. And that's not necessarily should be your main focus. Your main focus should be helping people. Now, you might say, well, I might help people through arresting people, and maybe you do. But when you go out there looking to arrest people, I don't think that's good police work. When you go out there with the mindset that I'm going to help people, I think that's the proper mindset. Again, it made it easier for me because I worked in a neighborhood that I really cared about, and I cared about the community, and I was in touch with the community. I was able to progress through the ranks of being a police officer because of the work that I've done.
Yeah.
And I believe I showed that there's more than one way to do policing. I think the problem is with the system and how it's created. So when you're a police officer, if you do well, you move up and they take you off the street. And when you're not on the street, you're not necessarily interacting with the public. And sometimes as a police officer, when you don't do well, you kind of get punished like, oh, you're going to keep you on the street. So now what you're saying then is, so you're taking the good cops off of the street away from the people, and you're putting the cops that aren't so good at their job on the streets to be with the people. So now the people are interacting with not necessarily the best police officers. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you want to create a system where your best police officers are interacting with the people on a daily basis. And I think that would change the perception and the reality of the interaction between civilians and police officers. But what was the first part of the question again? Asking one time.
Was the best part of being a police officer and then the most challenging?
Oh, yeah. So the best part for me was, like I said, helping people. I've been a part of having babies being born in the back of a car. I've helped old people get out of a burning building. I could give you so many stories. So that would definitely be the best part. The worst part is just seeing so much negativity and death on a daily basis that, it affects your mentality. You know, when you wake up and you go to work and you have to go to a homicide scene, or you have to wake up and you walk into a house and the family's crying because they woke up in the morning and their father or their mother might have passed away. Just being around a lot of death it can take wear and tear on you. It can kind of make you a little bit cold to it, because you have to try to desensitize some of these traumatic events so that you can do your job.
Yeah,
I think that's why police officers have like the highest suicide rate in the country, is because of the highs and the lows that you have to deal with as being a police officer, you know? And I think that's why sometimes when you get stopped by a cop and, you know, you might say, oh, why is this cop such an asshole? You know what? Maybe he just came from a job where, you know, he saw a traumatic event, you know, but, you know, you have to be a professional and try to treat people, as you said, you know, try to see through people's soul, you know, and just try to treat people the same. It's not easy and everybody can't do it. And I think also when you have like a department as big as New York City and you're going to have a bunch of police officers, you know, I think there are some that aren't cut out for the job. But perhaps they, you know, they could fit someplace else on the job.
Yeah.
I think that's a challenge in itself to try to do those things. There's not an easy answer. You know, somebody has to be the bad guy. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of people see the police as being the bad guy. They don't look at us as being heroes anymore. When I was growing up, a cop was looked at as being a hero, you know, and I don't think that's the case anymore. I mean, I don't want to say that's how everybody feels, but, you know, I can only speak on my experiences and my reality and what I see. And, you know, and I would just like to say too, you know, I know about the officer that died up in the Syracuse area a couple of months ago. And, you know, I actually spoke to a few people that I know up there about that incident that happened. You know, my heart goes out to that officer's family and for the department, you know, who may have worked with him or knew him. You know, I just want their family to know that, you know, all officers, you know, especially around New York, you know, we feel when something like that happens to a family. But I enjoyed my time on the police force. I met a lot of great people. Like some of my partners that I worked with, I'm still friends with them today. And, you know, we're best friends. And, you know, we created bonds that just can't be broken.
Yeah.
You know, and I respected the hell out of my father, who did the job before me. And I know being a black officer must have been even more difficult for him than it was for me. And to speak to that point, is there racism on the police department? Absolutely. I mean, there's racism in all aspects of life, whether it's direct or indirect. Yeah, there's racism. I think they try to minimize it as much as possible. I think it's a process. It's ongoing. It could be very difficult sometimes because sometimes when you're around family and friends, you know, they ask you that same question too. You know, how can you be a police officer, and you know, with all of the things that are going on in the world?
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but you know, I think representation is important. So I think, you know, you need to have officers of color. They can't just be all of one ethnicity. I think it makes it easier for the police to do their job when the police reflects the community that they're policing. I'm not saying that a white officer can't be a great cop in a black neighborhood. I'm not saying that. He absolutely can. But I'm just saying as a department, you need to have diversity. I think diversity is one of the things that makes this country great, is that it's a diverse country.
Yeah.
And I think the police department, not just New York City Police Department, all departments around the country, should be as diverse as they possibly can. And that's the best way I can answer your question without going too deep. Like I said, we can have more conversations about that.
Yeah.
I can tell you all kinds of stories and stuff. We can go deep into that. Maybe one day I should think about writing a book about my time on the New York City police force. And, even during the end, I worked in internal affairs. I was a detective in internal affairs. And that was quite interesting as well. So we could talk about that another time.
Yeah, and I would love to. And obviously, I would love to get to sit with you in person, because that to me is the most important thing that you can do. I always tell people, if you can see somebody in person, then the phone, then texting. We live in a world where people want to text first, and my reality is, no, you want to see somebody's face, you want to be physically in the room with them, and if you can't, then we get to do things like this. But we can absolutely continue the conversation. I appreciate the look into your life and the look into things that you reflect on in law enforcement. I respect it. I have family that has served in all different types of branches of the military as well as in law enforcement. And so I have a tremendous amount of respect. And Michael Husak and Michael Jensen that were killed in that tragic shooting in Syracuse, obviously you don't have to know the people to care about the people. And, I do. I have, and I grew up that law enforcement, that they are heroes. I just had dinner last night with my godfather, and my godfather served many, many years in law enforcement as a police officer. And I still to this day have a lot of respect for him. So there's a lot to be said in that world. And I appreciate the fact that we get to talk about the real things here on the show. And I appreciate the fact that you were so open about it. I know there's a lot more to be had, and we will. But Alban, I didn't think in any stretch of the imagination this wouldn't be an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, and that we wouldn't have fun. But I'm coming off of this thing going, you want to come on tomorrow? So I just want to say thank you, because I feel like, when you get to talk with people and have a real, genuine, good conversation, we touched on so many different topics. To me, you just know those people that you want to just have back and have those real conversations with. And I know this is your first time on the show, but Rob can tell you, when I feel something good come out of somebody, I'm like, man, I gotta make that a more recurring thing. So I would love to have you back, and more than anything, I hope that the next time we talk, we get to actually shake hands and sit down and talk in person. Hopefully, we get to do that soon.
Absolutely, I appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed talking sports and talking about a little life with you. It was great. And let me just tell you real quick about Rob. Rob was one of my first real friends when I came to Syracuse. We both came in as freshmen, along with my buddy Terry Wooden, Rob Burnett, who was also my roommate. And we have a bunch of stories we could tell you about as when we came in as freshmen, some of the things that we had to do, and just walking back and forth to practices and some of the conversations that we had. And it was a really great time, because it was the first time that, we got a chance to meet people from different parts of New York and seeing how they live, and just sharing experiences that have helped create and make the person that I am today. And that's kind of why Syracuse is so special to me, because Syracuse is a part of me. The reason why I am who I am today is because of Syracuse University and the people that I've met there. And, and I'm still great friends with all of them. Rob, he's a great guy. He's always on my mind. But thanks for having me, Dan. We could definitely have conversations later. And I'm just praying for a great season with this football team. And hopefully, I'll end with this. This is my pride and joy right here. This is our undefeated ring.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be getting another one coming soon for the football team.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and it's great to see that. I would love to see it. 59-87, and hopefully sometime very soon here for Syracuse Orange football. And for all the alumni, all the current and future student athletes, and of course, for the people of Syracuse. Alban, like I said before, it's my pleasure, it's my honor and my privilege to have you here. Can't wait to talk with you again, and thank you. I mean, you're going to get a text from me probably in a couple minutes to say it again because I did appreciate this time. I'm happy we got to do it, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, take
Have
care.
a great day.
You
Go
too.
Orange.
God bless. Go Orange. Take care. That coming from Alban Brown here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take our final step aside of the show, and we'll wrap things up from the Heritage Hill Studios right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success at Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week. There are sports card shops, and there's GG Cards and Breaks. There's trading card shops, and there's GG Cards and Breaks. What do I mean by that? I mean, when it comes to attention to detail, when it comes to being purposeful in every move that they make, when it comes to the products that they're bringing in, and all of the things that they're doing behind the scenes, GG Cards and Breaks is a place that cares. They're a place that appreciates everyone that comes through the door. They want to provide a service. They want to share their love for sports cards and trading cards. It starts with Josh and Anthony, and it goes throughout the team. There's something to be said, and Joel, who I was the first person I met on this team at GG Cards and Breaks. I've been to a bunch of sports card shops around the country in my life, but GG Cards and Breaks is a place that you root for. People that work really hard. People that do jobs and tasks that can be tedious, and at the end of the day, it turns into something great. What place can you go to that has every MLB, every NFL, and every NBA team with their own box? That's a lot of work, but they do it for us. a place that's constantly trying to get the new product and be ahead of the curve on things and is willing to do everything they can to make sure that product is on the shelf. That's for us. Going and getting cards graded by PSA so they not only have awesome cards, but they have those cards that are graded for you and you don't have to send them in a PSA yourself and they're sitting there waiting in the case. That's for us. And looking at different things that they do of opening packs and boxes and then putting those in the cases and being prepared and paying attention to what people in the community are looking for. That's for us. GG Cards and Breaks. It's a passion and a love for sports cards and trading cards. And that passion and that love comes through in everything that they do. Be it small to you or big to you. It's all big to me. So I thank Josh, I thank Anthony, and I thank the team. And I implore you to go there if you've never collected cards before or if this is something you do all the time. GG Cards and Breaks, 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. And of course, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is the location once again, right off of Teal Ave. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a tremendous show today from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. I want to thank Heritage Hill for being amazing. Heritage Hill Brew House, you will find them on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, out in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. God's Canvas out there is absolutely beautiful at Palladino Farms. They just had hot air balloon rides out there. They have live music. They've been doing a bunch of barbecues. They did Mother's Day. They did Father's Day. The spreads were incredible. I brought my mom there for Mother's Day, brought my dad for Father's Day, brought Lily, my dog, my little daughter, brought her out there to celebrate in between Mother's Day and Father's Day. So definitely go out there. They are dog friendly as well. They have a basketball hoop, so many great things at Heritage Hill Brew House that you got to go and see. And Heritage Hill North, we are spoiled because Heritage Hill Brew House has been worth the drive for many years. Now Heritage Hill North is right in the backyard of North Syracuse, Cicero, Clay, Liverpool, just outside the city of Syracuse, connected to so many major highways, the Thruway, right by the Syracuse Hancock International Airport. Central location is an understatement for Heritage Hill North at 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, right by Sweetheart Corner. So make sure you head out there today. Big time thanks to my incredible guests inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's poppin', our Dolphin Dive, and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne College, Joe Tesori, the men's and women's golf head coach, as well as having Syracuse alum and father of legacy player Caden Brown, that being Alban Brown, who just joined me to talk about truly our tagline on Wake Up Call, which is where sports meets life. And Joe Tesori did an incredible job with that as well. Wake Up Call is with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, you can hop into the archives and hang out with them there. I just added some stuff to the archives, and I'll be adding today's broadcast there as well. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser.com. Player FM, I think I said, but I'll say it again. Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. You can find us by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you do that today. Click subscribe and click follow while you're there on any one of the channels. You can visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York by going to Heritage Hill North, as well as Heritage Hill Brew House. You can, of course, find Carvel DeWitt, our longest standing partner. And on Wednesdays, my DT Dolphin Sunday, which is an ode to the LeMoyne Dolphins, which are right down the street from Carvel DeWitt. You can get the DT Dolphin, buy one, get one every Wednesday. So go today and get 2 DT Dolphins for the price of one exclusively on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York at Carvel DeWitt. And that DT Dolphin is the mint chocolate chip ice cream, green for the Dolphins, hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry, topped off with green and gold sprinkles for LeMoyne, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. The only place that you'll get it is Carvel DeWitt. The Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, as well as Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And you will also find Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, and Mother's Cupboard. And at Mother's Cupboard, you'll get what I talked about with Alban Brown. My breakfast sandwich is exclusive to Mother's Cupboard. You will only get it at Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. And of course, you can get that 7 days a week. They are open 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. So go and get the Cuse McMother today. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. And that sandwich, the Cuse McMother, is only at Mother's Cupboard. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of the LeMoyne College Dolphins. You'll find your Dolphins monthly and weekly, I should say, during Dolphin time, which is Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. AD&DT and the Dolphin Dive coming to you. You'll find all of our content with the Dolphins by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. The LeMoyne playlist is there as well. And of course, you can find the Dolphins also by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month in our Spotlight series that we call the Bobcat Buzz. You'll find your Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll find our Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse playlist there as well on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bearcats every single week on our weekly broadcast, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during what we call Bearcat Time. And our monthly specials are Moments with Marshall, featuring Binghamton Athletics Director Gene Marshall, as well as our featuring of student athletes, coaches, and administration in our segment that we have entitled the Bearcat Break Room. You'll find all of this content by simply going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. You'll find our Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel, and you'll also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, as well as going to our exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to bubearcats.com. And go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a thanks to Joe Tesori and Alban Brown, my guests once again. A thanks to you for being with us. Go to Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. The NBA draft is tonight, June 26th, and tomorrow, June 27th. We'll be talking about it Friday morning on June 28th with Dave Paziak, and you can find my polls on X at Call DT that we're going to be putting up today. And of course, find us on all of our social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. In the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. Have a tremendous day, be good to each other, be kind to yourself, and remember that you can do it.